Create this bubblegum lettering effect in Procreate. To create this, I will teach you how to make a 3D dual brush from scratch, so we can practice some 3D looking calligraphy and give a couple extra effects later. For today's piece, I'm gonna give you a couple freebies, a guide so you can follow along, and a sample set of our instant 3D brush set. The complete set has a bunch of 3D brushes and video tutorials that I think you'll like. Get all the links in the description below. Remember to tag us at JimBobernows and ShoutBam on Instagram so we can feature your work with our community. And here's a shout out to our patrons and their results. Remember that our Patreon is the place to be if you want to learn all our lettering secrets. We share new long format tutorials every month, and it would be awesome to see you there. So nothing else to add, let's get started, shall we? Let's go ahead and create a new canvas. It's gonna have to be square for the creation of the brush, and I'm gonna create something that is 3000 pixels times 3000 pixels, DPI 300 or higher. Okay, let's tap on create. And now to create this brush, we're gonna use native Procreate brushes. Sorry, but I have a mess here because I have a lot of brush sets installed, but you should find the airbrush and the calligraphy panels, because we're gonna use this soft brush for the shadows, and in calligraphy we're gonna use a monoline brush or a script, something solid, it doesn't matter really. Now select a black color, and on this new layer I'm gonna create this circle. Don't lift off your pencil from the screen, and tap with your left finger so it becomes a perfect circle. Now go to the transform tool, and in here in freeform, I'm just gonna make this shape, and then I'm gonna rotate 45 degrees using that little tool down there. Now with the magnetics selected, both of them, we're gonna center it right in the middle of our artwork. Remember that you will see these yellow cross lines vertically and horizontally. And now I'm gonna drop a black color inside. Now I'm gonna change this black color with this gray right here. Remember that you can download this color palette using the link in the description below, so pause the video, go get it, and come back. Great, so now that we have this, we're gonna add some shading. But first, we're gonna duplicate this layer, and then we're gonna create a new layer, tap on it, and clipping mask. Great, so now I'm gonna select this darker black color, and the soft brush inside the airbrushing native brushes. Great, so now I'm gonna make it bigger, something around 20%, and I'm gonna start shading this shape. So I'm gonna add a little bit of dark right here. Just like this, just take your time. A little bit darker right here, and then a little bit lighter as you go up. Now I'm gonna select this white color, and with the same soft brush, I'm gonna add some lights right here. You can also experiment with these shadows as you create this brush, so maybe when you finish creating the brush, you can go ahead and just do other shapes and see what happens. But let's now focus on these white tones right here. Some smaller lights here. Now this is a reproduction of one of the brushes included in the Instant 3D brush set. It was a collaborative brush set with Abby from Uproot Brushes, and she made all the shapes using 3D software. So the shapes are better than this for sure, so go check it out. Great, so just let's add a little bit more here. And maybe a little stronger light right here. Maybe that's too much. Let's do it again. And now I'm gonna add this light right here. Great, so now that we have this, I'm gonna select this second shape, and with the transform tool, I'm just gonna bring it down like this. If you have magnetics, it's gonna align 45 degrees, so it's perfect for our brush. Great, so now go get the monoline, and then with the same gray, we're gonna just close this shape. So from this corner, drag this line up here. Without lifting the pencil off the screen, you're gonna see this little option that shows up, and you're gonna be able to touch these two little anchor points. So let's do it again so you see it. Line without lifting off the pencil. And then tap here and edit it so it touches perfectly in the corners. Now we're gonna close this shape. I'm just gonna create this line right here. So if we were to turn off this layer, this is how it looks like. So now I'm gonna drop a color here, tap here, continue filling, and then tap here. Or you can just drop the color twice. Great. So now I'm gonna create a new layer on top of this one, and I'm gonna make it another clipping mask. Now select this dark color, and again, the soft brush in the airbrushing panel. Now we're gonna create some more shadows. I'm gonna start right here, darker in right there in the center, and as you go to the left, it's gonna be lighter, and also a little bit lighter on the right side. Now a bit here, and now with the white, we're gonna create some lights, just right here. And up here in the corner, a little bit stronger. Now with complete white, I'm just gonna exaggerate these lights a little bit. Great. Now I'm just retouching some of those shadows on our first shape because they were a little bit too strong. And I think now I'm pretty much done with the main shape, and we're gonna create the brush in a second. Okay, I'm done here. So now go to the layers panel and swipe right all the layers, go to the transform tool, and now we're gonna center this in the middle. Great, so now go back to the layers panel, and we're gonna tap on group with all these layers select. Swipe left and duplicate. Now we're gonna save one for later, just in case. And we're gonna tap on the first one and then flatten it. Now we're gonna tap on it and alpha lock. Now we're gonna go to adjustments, Gaussian blur, and we're gonna blur this a little bit. Since I added the alpha lock, the blur won't go outside the shape that we had. If your blur now is going all over the place and outside the shape, remember that you forgot to add that alpha lock. Great, so now we have this and we are super ready to do our brush. So duplicate this layer, turn off this one for a second, and then go to the second one, go to adjustments, hue, saturation, and brightness, and just bring the brightness down. Great, that's gonna be for the second part of the brush. Now, let's play with this one once again. Go to adjustments, curves, and then tap here, bring it down, tap here, bring it up. You're gonna see why later. Perfect. Now, go to actions, copy canvas, and now here we're gonna create a new brush. So go up to the top, tap on plus, so we can create our new brush set first. So it contains our brush, and then here I'm just gonna name it 3D Valentines. Look, I'm just gonna put this emoji that shows up here. Great. Now tap on plus, and the first thing we're gonna change is the shape. So go here to shape, edit, import, and paste. Now tap with 2 fingers on the screen, so you invert it. Now tap on done. And now let's see what options should we choose. So in spacing, go down to about 8%, I would say, maybe 4% better. Yeah, let's choose 4. Now go to stabilization, and then I'm gonna bring the amount right here to 80 and pressure at around 40. These settings are gonna assist our calligraphy later, so they're really important. Now go to taper, and right here I'm just gonna bring the pressure down to none. I don't need a tip animation. Now everything in shape has been done already. So go to grain, bring the movement to none, scale none, zoom none, and then right here we're gonna bring the depth to 15% and brightness to max. Now contrast, we can bring it down to -10. Now the blend mode is gonna be linear burn. Great. Great, now go to rendering and then here put light glaze. Now you're gonna see that the flow is up to max, and then here the burn edges mode is multiply and the blend mode is normal. Now go to wet mix, and here we're gonna bring pull down to none and grade up to smooth. Now go to color dynamics, and here we're just gonna change one little setting. So go down, sorry, scroll down with your finger better because I was drawing there, and go to color pressure and secondary color up to max. We're gonna leave everything in dynamics the same, then go to Apple Pencil, and here we're gonna touch the size. We don't wanna do 100%, so we're gonna bring it up to 80%. Then the opacity is gonna go to none, the tilt 0, so bring that down, and select contrast in the cursor outline. Great, let's go to now properties and bring the maximum size up to max. Great, now tap on done, and we have the first part of the brush done. Now swipe left, duplicate, select the first one here, go to layers, turn off this layer and turn on the dark layer. Now go to actions and copy canvas. Enter the brush studio here, go to shape, edit, import and paste, and tap on done. Now the next thing that we have to change here is in properties, the minimum opacity up to max. Tap on done, and now tap on this brush and then swipe right in the second one. Okay, so let's do it again. Tap on the first one, swipe right on the second one, and then tap on combine. Now go inside here, and this is gonna be our 3D brush. Great, now tap on done and create a new layer, and then we're gonna try the brush. Here, the primary color is on the right, so we're gonna be choosing a light color, and then the secondary is on the left, and it's gonna be the color of the shadows. And that's pretty much it. That's what we were looking for. And now we can just have fun with it, try it a bit, see if you could come up with a couple letters, and we're gonna move on to the guide. So make sure that you download the guide using the link in the description below, and let's start our lettering. Now for this exercise, you're gonna need the brush that you've just created. You can also install the free brushes that I'm giving you today, which are just a 3D brush, a light, and then a 3D shape. And then this would be the complete set for the ones that actually got it. You can see that there's a bunch of 3D shapes. I love this cassette, it's my favorite probably. Abby has done all this using 3D software, as I told you before. So you can have like instant 3D shapes in a second. Now here as well, there is all these brushes, and each of them has different options. So here would be the clear one that we made. But then if you select these ones down, you have brushes with their unique drop shadows. Just let me show you a couple. Now to follow along the guide, you're gonna see that there is different numbers with their little arrows, and then also where you should add new layers. So in this third point, you should add a new layer. In the 8th, you see here, and then down here in the 13 as well. Just don't skip any number, because you see that the 14 is up here, for example, and then the 15 is down. So just go number by number, create a new layer when I tell you to, and that's it. It's gonna be easy, you're gonna see. Now, for the dots, on the letter I's, we're gonna use this half circle 3D shape that you have in the freebie. And now let's go ahead and, well, here I'm naming our new 3D brush. Gonna put 3D Valentines. You don't have to do this. I just wanted to make sure that I have a good name here. So I select it all the time. Great. Now, create a new layer. And let's get started with the calligraphy. So remember, primary and secondary color. So we're gonna get something like this. Now, it might take you a few tries in the beginning as you get used to the brush. Also, if you're good at calligraphy, it's gonna be way easier for you. But I'm not playing much with thicks and thins like a normal calligraphy because I thought that it would be easier for every beginner. So if you know calligraphy and you wanna use more rules, so remember thick strokes when you go down and then thin strokes when you go up, you can do that. But if you don't know anything about calligraphy, just follow the lines and you're gonna get a cool piece anyways. Now remember, before starting the third point, create a new layer and continue. Now you can also, when you do certain letters, for example this one, I quite think that might be a little bit better if I place it to the left. So I'm just gonna select the freehand tool and I'm gonna just bring it adjusted to the left a little. Now you can decide if you want to do, for example, all this together like this, or you can also do the I, then stop, do the N on top. Now, new layer in the step 8. You see here I stop. Let's do the H again. Good. And now let's do the E. Okay, let's go down. So now that would be step 11. This is probably the most complicated part of this lettering because I want to do this in one single stroke. So there is this heart-shaped loop and then it goes to the A. So just pause the video and take your time. Let's see if we can do this. Okay, this pair now is very easy to do, the I and R. I'm just gonna try it again though. Great, now we have all the letters done and I'm just gonna create these swashes and ligatures. So I'm gonna start with the 13 but on a new layer. Now here you can also rotate your canvas if you want. You can start either from the left or from the right, but if you go down like this, it's gonna be easier. Remember to do, instead of a wrist movement, to do a whole arm movement. When you do calligraphy, it's way better because your arm is more loose, and so the overall stroke is gonna look more natural and free. Okay, I might even try once more. Let's see. I mean, I could leave it like this, but sometimes I'm too much of a perfectionist. So let's do it one more. Yes, I like that. Okay, now let's go to the number 14. And again, you can just rotate the canvas and do it. That's too thick. Oh yeah, way too thick. That's better. Okay, that's good. And now number 15. This should be easier. So I'm gonna start from thick to thin as it gets to the eye. Perfect, great. Okay, so now we have all the ligatures, loops, swashes, and letters. Now I'm just gonna turn off the guide. I'm gonna create a new layer on top of everything and I'm gonna select this half ball from the sample set. Just step here, go to the transform tool, rotate it, make it smaller, and just place it around here. Now we can duplicate this. You can also do these dots on the eye just by placing some normal strokes with your brush. But the original piece that I did had this, so I thought, why not? We could use it. I'm gonna duplicate the first one as well to do this third dot. And I'm just placing them using different angles so they look more dynamic. Now I'm gonna turn off the magnetics so I can rotate them better, maybe a bit smaller. And now I'm gonna pinch these together, go to adjustments, hue, saturation and brightness, and I'm gonna play a little bit with the brightness so it matches a little bit more my letters. Great, we have the lettering done. So you could stop here, looks pretty good now. But instead, I'm just gonna do a couple clipping masks and then also some drips. So let's do it. Now here, if you don't like the placement of some of your letters, you could always just go to the layer, let's say here, and then just move it around. Okay, since now we have few layers and none of them are kind of like touching each other, you could also select with your freehand selection some parts and just move them around until you're satisfied. But I'm pretty good with what's happening here, so I'm not gonna do anything else. Great, so now you see that these loops are kind of boring now because they are on top of everything, right? So we're gonna tap on the layer and then mask the layer of these last swashes that we did. And now we're gonna select a black color and a monoline brush. And you see that when I paint with the black color, it erases. But then when I paint with the white color, it comes back to life. So now I'm gonna select this layer, select, and then I'm gonna go to the mask with a black color and the monoline brush, and I'm just gonna hide this. Okay, if you have any questions, you can also send me a message, okay? Now select this letter A, tap on it, tap on select, go back to your mask with a black color and paint this part. Great, let's do it again. And now we have to see where we could do it again. So this loop, we could just play with it a little bit more as well. So I'm gonna select the H layer, tap on it, select, you see, and now go back to your mask, right there, black color, and paint on it. Now, some of you might ask why I can select the layers like this. So go to Adjustments, Preferences, and Gesture Controls. Now go down here to Layer Select, and turn on touch and hold. So every time you touch and hold on a specific part of your lettering, it's just gonna select that layer. Okay, I hope this is clear enough. I know I went a little bit too far probably in some parts. So if you have any questions, please reach me out on Instagram at JimBobernaus. Now I'm selecting also this layer, tap on it, select, going to my mask, and then with the black color, I'm hiding that part there, and even this one here. Great. We are done masking. Now, go to each individual layer and create new layers. So, second here, third, fourth, and fifth. Now, tap on them and make them clipping masks. Tap, clipping mask, tap, clipping mask, tap, clipping mask. Now we're gonna add some shadows for those things that are overlapping. Okay, so now let's say, for example, we wanna add some shadows here. So we're gonna go to the clipping mask, gonna select the soft shadow brush, remember in the airbrushing panel, and then with this dark pink, I'm just gonna add a little bit of shadow here. Now the same, go select this T, but always to the clipping mask, and add a little bit of shadow. Now I wanna add some here, but since it's the same layer, I'm gonna go to the freehand selection tool, just like that, and select a little bit. You can get to do way more shadows than the ones that I'm gonna do, but I'm just gonna do the most effective ones. You can spend a little bit more time and add more shadows. That's always better for sure. Now let's go to the clipping mask of the LO and add a bit here. Let's do it again. It was too dark. Now better. Now let's go to this loop. Always the clipping mask. And add some shadow here and some shadow here. Now let's go to the heart, clipping mask, and add some shadows here. And now finally let's add some shadows here. Just a bit here, maybe a little bit lighter. Some just maybe here with the smaller brush. And then finally some of them in this loop right here. Oh, and here, sorry. Great, so now we are done with this. So I'm gonna now add some drips. So I'm gonna do them manually. So create a new layer on top of everything. I'm selecting this pink, but I think I'm gonna change it now. And now select a brush that is kind of more calligraphic. So like this brush pen or the script inside the calligraphy brushes. Okay, so now zoom in. And actually I'm gonna select this pink right here. So I'm always gonna select the pink here at the bottom where I'm doing the drip. And then I'm gonna do like a perfect vertical line by tapping with my left finger. And now here making it imperfect and making this little drip. Right now we're just gonna use one color and then we're gonna add a little bit of a light so it kind of looks more incorporated to our piece. Now find the gaps that you like best. You don't have to use the ones that I'm doing. You can play with smaller drips, bigger drips. It really depends on how you want them to be seen. Great, so now go back to your layer, tap on it, and tap on Alpha Lock. Now I'm gonna choose this pink and the soft brush in the airbrushing panel once again. Gonna make the size smaller and I'm just gonna add a little bit of this pink right here in the middle. Remember that you don't have to do this super realistic because it's such a small detail that you won't be able to see it from afar. Just wanted to add a little bit. Okay, we are done with the lettering. Now I'm gonna just group all this together so I can move it a little bit. So just by swiping to the right and then group. And now with the transform tool, you can move it a bit. For me, a little bit up, better. And then I'm gonna add some lights to this thing, but first I might add a dark background so it pops a little bit more. So yeah, just like a dark purple will do for now. Great, so now create a new layer on top of everything else inside this group, right here, and then select a white color, and with the soft brush, I'm gonna change the mode into add, and I think I'll also bring the opacity of that layer a little bit down. And now here, I'm just gonna run through some parts of my lettering just to make it pop a little bit more. So just get the hang of it. You see, just a little bit, for example, here, and then right here. So just gonna move this forward, but you can pause the video and yeah, just add a little bit of lights here and there. Now I want to add also some lights on the 3D shapes, so I'm gonna go to the freehand selection tool and I'm just gonna select this part right here. And now with the same brush, I'm just gonna add a little bit of light. I think I'm gonna change the layer, so I'm gonna go to the clipping mask we had before for that 3D shape, and I'm gonna add the lights there because I want them to be inside the shape. So right here as well. And then lastly in here. So freehand selection tool and some light. Sorry, I didn't select it good, so let's do it again. Okay, perfect. Now go back to the layers panel and turn off the background. Now go to actions, add copy canvas. Now right here on top of everything, just scroll 3 fingers down the screen and tap on paste. Great. So now go to adjustments and curves. Tap right here in the middle so we get a little bit of better mid-tone lights. And I'm pretty much done. That's it. Now let me give you a couple examples of what I would do now, for example. So create a new layer on top of your lettering and then tap on it and make it a clipping mask. You could select the mode hue, for example, right there. And then with a blue color, you can just give it a little bit of a blue tone right here, for example. Now you could create a new layer under your lettering and then add a darker blue on the background, for example. You could also add like some purple tone right here, etc. And now I can add a new layer on top of everything else and then go to the Instant 3D freebie and add some lens flare. So you can select the white color, then you can play with modes from, add to overlay, let's say. You could also make this, you see, completely like 90 degrees, or you could just flip the screen as well so these lights have an angle. Or even on a new layer with a bigger lens flare, you can also add some lights that come from outside. Remember that if you have the complete set, we have also diagonal lights. I'm gonna show you now. You can change also this mode, maybe make them a little bit darker. You will see, but you see, for example, here in the complete set, you will find all these different lights. So you could have like this little, you see, sparkles here, that they look pretty cool. And then you have this lens flare, diagonal, etc. Now, let me show you the final thing that you can do to add a little bit of something else to your lettering. And I'm using this a lot, so forgive me for that. Go to Actions, Copy Canvas. Remember, on top of everything else, 3 fingers down the screen, paste. Now go to Adjustments and Chromatic Aberration. Add around 7%. And then go to Noise, also inside Adjustments, and just add around a 7% too. And we're done, I promise you, we are done. So if you enjoyed this, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, the typical thing, so you don't miss any of our future tutorials. Now remember that if you want to keep learning, you can check our Patreon. There's new tutorials each month and the library is getting bigger and bigger. See you next time. Bye.